Hello everyone, very good evening. Welcome to Olipod. My name is Varsha Dhiman and this is your very important session that is ARD currents, right? And it is very important for upcoming ARD Grade A examination 2000. So the aspirants who are there in the class, please let me know that the voice is okay and the screen is clearly visible. So there are some of the very important news articles, okay, which are related with agriculture issues that we have to discuss here in this session. Okay, so let's start our today's important discussion. Let's go on. So here we go. So aspirants, what you can do, you can have the Oliboard application, okay, so that you will get the classes PDFs and there are batches available for your better on the application of like the batches. The BARD Grade A 2026 batch is available. You can be the part of this batch, and that's how you can do your preparation. Okay, so yeah, if you are thinking of targeting for NABARD Grade A 2020, yes, so that all your doubts and queries will be resolved on time, and that's how you can do preparations on time, before time. Because at the last minute or in the preparations of 2 or 3, like 2 months, it's not possible to cover your whole syllabus complete because you have to cover the syllabus and that's why you have to revise also na, before time. So for this, you need good time interval. So this is a very good time to start your preparations. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yeah, so in November 2025, COP30 was held, okay, and that was held at Belém, Brazil, okay, and there were some important initiatives discussed there, and different countries come ahead, and that was organized by United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change, okay, and there were certain objectives decided, certain protocols followed, and certain new initiatives were we come ahead with some new initiatives to protect our environment, deal with the issues of global warming or the climate change that we are facing, right? So there was a new concept that emerged out, that is global climate governance discourse shifted after COP38 Belém, Brazil, branded as a global meteorau, that is collective effort, right? So this is a news article of 7th Feb 2026. And what's that global climate governance is, okay, and why it is shifted to the collective effort. Let's talk about. However, the summit, that particular summit, it's the second time that it is holding that it was held in Brazil. Okay, so that Earth Summit or that Climate Summit drew criticism for procedural optimism without substantive actions, as it implicitly accepted a 1.5 degrees Celsius overshoot while failing to secure binding climate finance or fossil fuels phase out. Okay, like there was some important points that was on paper, but we failed to implement them. Okay, so because of which it drew a lot of criticism from the different parts of the world. Now, global climate governance, what is this concept is about? It refers to the, so what is it climate governance is? Okay, we are talking about the concept of climate governance so many times. What is it basically? It's a web of international treaties. Okay, so on the international level, there are different treaties are signed, and different countries are coming ahead with the domestic laws for the protection of the climate, right? And institutional frameworks like the United Nations Framework for Climate Convention for Climate Change, that's designed to coordinate so that all the global actions will be coordinated and all the actions will come ahead in this manner that the greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced and we will adapt to climate impacts. Okay, so that is climate governance. Now, current architecture of global climate governance, like on which particular basis that global climate governance concept is based upon. So it's a dual track system. Okay, so as it is mentioned Kyoto Protocol, so it is around the Kyoto Protocol that is for the reduction in the greenhouse gas emission, or it is around the CMA that is the Paris Agreement, which is about how we can reduce the greenhouse gas emissions or carbon sequestration concept. Okay, so Paris Agreement is about the carbon sequestration or carbon credit. It is about the reduction, like how we can reduce the carbon emissions and how we can not like lead our activities will not lead the in more increase in the global temperature. Okay, so operating like hop off buses that maintain diplomatic motions but lack a mandatory final destination. So we come ahead with the concept, but this is not appeared as a mandatory final destination because different countries are not ratifying it. They are coming ahead, but they are not approving it. Okay, and we are like we'll talk about our country also, like how our country is part of it, okay, and what are the different changes we mentioned, but we are not going ahead. Okay, something that is written on paper and something that we have to follow. These two are the different things. Okay, and this governance is talking about it. Consensus based veto. So decisions require consensus among nearly so all the 200 nations that become the part of this conference of parties 30. They need to come ahead to a common point. Okay, that decision should be collective, which effectively grants every party a veto and leads to diluted final text that prioritize political face saving over ecological necessity. The global meteor framework, so it was introduced at this time when conference of party 30 held. We had discussed about it highlights before also. Yeah, very good evening Simranjeet, very good evening to you. So that time we highlighted, we talk about the collective efforts that different countries are taking in this direction. So this framework emphasizes voluntary, people led and multi stakeholder cooperation like civil society, youth, indigenous groups rather than strictly binding state obligations. Okay, enhanced transparency framework, a shift towards stricter measurements, reporting, and verification system intended to hold countries accountable for their nationally determined contributions. Right. Now, another thing, what are the data and the statistics related to it? So, record emissions. So, when we observe the data, like how much greenhouse gas is emitted and the country is responsible for it. So, what we observe that globally, the greenhouse emission has led its highest value, that is of 57.4 greenhouse gas emission or carbon dioxide emission in 2020. And if I talk about our country, we record the absolute high, highest absolute rise among G20 nations. Finance gap. See, developed countries and developing countries. We always talk about one concept that developed countries are majorly responsible for all these climate change events, but the developing countries are facing a lot. Okay, and what they need when they are facing, they need some financial help, and the developed nations they have to come ahead to provide all the financial help they need. Okay, then only the balance will be created. So in the conference of party 30 we discussed about it. Okay, so developed countries pledged to triple adaptation finance to $120 billion by 2035. Yet developing nations require an estimated $2.4 trillion to $3 trillion per year. Okay, so they are saying that they will provide this much, but they need this much, which is not actually the amount they are actually providing. So what it will create a finance gap. So the developing countries will never be able to come out of this because the funds they are receiving is quite less. Okay, temperature trajectory. Current policies put the world on a path towards 2.8 degrees Celsius of warming, far exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius goal established a decade ago in Paris. So, in the year 2020, 2015, when the Paris Agreement held, as I mentioned before, also, we targeted that the global temperature will not go beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. But the current policies, because already we had reached this value, so we are targeting that we will maintain it, which is not a good thing. Like at that time, we also take some objectives and decided to work upon them. But in the next 10 years, we didn't work upon them, and it leads to an increase of global temperature till 2.8 degrees Celsius, and everyone is facing. Majorly, the developing countries are facing the consequences of the increased global temperature. Okay. Next is adaptation deficit. Because despite new pledges, only about $32 billion was directed towards adaptation in the year 2020, leaving a massive protection gap for vulnerable communities. Okay, so different countries come ahead, they pledge that that's how they promote, that's how they provide or coordinate, but we were only able to raise $32 billion, and that's how the protection gap for vulnerable communities is huge. Okay, and we are not able to fulfill it. Like the National Adaptation Fund is just reached a value of $32 billion, which is very low, right? Next is, what are the challenges associated with this? Like why we are not able to take the steps in a specific direction, although we have the good policies, we have the scientific interventions where needed, but why we are still lagging behind? What are the challenges associated with this? One is the implementation disease. Okay, so pledges are often made without a binding timetable or specific funding sources. It happens now, like if, for example, you are preparing for NABARD Grade A examination. You had decided to appear for the exam in the year 2026. You had started your preparations, but had not given any target to you. Like till the March end, you will cover your syllabus. Till the April beginning, you will revise this particular portion. What will happen? When there is no specific time allotted to your goals are not specified, your goals are not measurable, definitely you lack in achieving them. Okay, and that's the issue we're facing with these conferences of parties that we are having. Okay, while India, we are giving an example of our country only, like we make an ambition that we will become 500 gigawatt non-fossil capacity target, and roughly 40 gigawatt of projects have faced delays due to unsigned power sale agreements and transmission bottlenecks. So we are targeting this, and that's how we had achieved. Next is growth versus sustainability. So economic imperatives often override ecological restraints in developing economies. So in the developing economies, what we are observing, economic imperatives. Okay, and they are overriding the ecological restraints that we are. Example, the clearing of the Great Nicobar Island projects in 2024-25 highlighted the tension between strategic infrastructure developments and the protection of biodiversity and carbon sink. Okay, so see, if we will think of climate only or the ecology only, definitely will lag behind in development through growth. Okay, but we cannot afford the lagging behind in growth and development. Okay, so what we do, we just compromise with the ecology in one, and that is also not good. Okay, we can work in a specific direction, like sustainable development will occur, like ecology will also not get hampered, and our growth targets will also be achieved. Okay, which is not possible. We are facing challenges in it, and that's a big issue nowadays, right? Another is coal dependency. Still now we are highly reliant on base load coal power, and that makes a rapid phase out politically and economically difficult. Okay, like if we will keep on using the coal as a fuel, so definitely carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases emissions, we can never phase it out. It will keep on increasing. Okay? Although Indian government recently approved an addition of 80 gigawatt of new coal capacity by 2032 to ensure grid stability, complicating long-term decarbonization. In one way, we are saying that we will become no less, we will be free from the fossil fuel. Okay. On another way, we are going ahead with the technology. Okay, where 80 gigawatt of new coal capacity, we are targeting that we will be having 80 gigawatt of new coal capacity by 2032. So what we will do for this coal, we will use it in our industries. That's how the carbon dioxide emissions will not go down. Okay, so how it could be, like we are going with double standards. In one way, we are saying that we will be with the front end helpers of climate, and other way we are saying that we will be having this much of coal with us. Okay, so how the things will be good? Urban climate vulnerability. So we are observing that rapid urbanization. Okay, and because of rapid urbanizations, what we are doing deforestation. We are working in the deforestation projects. Okay, so that lacks integrated climate resilience, leading to urban heat islands. So what we are causing, what we are creating actually, we are creating urban heat islands. Okay, as we are keep on cutting the trees, what where the carbon dioxide gas will sink. Okay, and that will how the like air amelioration will occur, how the temperature decrease, how you can reduce the temperature if we are not having trees around. Okay, so what we are creating urban heat islands. And that's the reason these metropolitan or the most important cities of our country, they are having roughly nearly 3 to 5 degrees Celsius higher temperature than surrounding rural areas because of these areas holding concrete densities and green covers are quite low in these areas. Right now, termism in politics. Right. So climate change is often viewed as a distant abstraction compared to immediate needs like food and employment. Okay, and that's the reason that is one of the major reasons that we are not able to solve this problem till today. See, it happens with us also, like you are having two works to do. Okay, you always do the work that needs to be done on immediate basis and you leave the work that can be shifted to the other time period. Okay, so similarly, what we are doing, we are focusing upon food and employment as a major challenge that we are facing, and we are not showing any attention to the climate change issue. And as the time stretch, we're not able to go back to the specific thing again, and that's how the results are in front of us. And it happens with all of us also. Like we are studying for a competitive exam, so we always focus on the thing that is very near to us, and in this manner we leave the point. Okay, and when that specific thing is about to happen, you start thinking about it again, like how we can tackle it, and you're not having enough in your hand to deal with the situation. Okay. So 2024-25 Venet landslides and various urban flooding events were treated primarily as disaster management tasks rather than trigger for long-term climate governance. Right now, another, what are the major initiatives taken at the Conference of Parties 30? So these are the challenges which are associated with it. Like, but to deal with all these challenges, okay, as different countries are coming ahead and they come up with the different initiatives and the policies framework. So these were the major initiatives taken, and we had already discussed about them before. So I'm just summarizing it here. Okay, so you can see this. Yeah, Tropical Forest Forever Facility. So a proposed $125 billion fund launched at Conference of Parties 30 to compensate countries and indigenous people for preserving standing forest. PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, India's massive push to install rooftop solar in 10 million households, which aims to decentralize power and reduce emissions. Okay. Another is loss and damage fund operationalization. So there is a formal opening of a fund for applications at COP30. Global implementation accelerators. So this is a voluntary framework, okay, and that is to align the domestic policies basically of the nation. So they like 1.5-degree emissions through technical support. Okay, if the countries are emitting more, and that is creating a lot of climate change. So we need to go ahead with the policies that will help in okay doing all the initiatives in specific direction that we will not lead to increase more global temperature. Okay. Now, what's other way ahead in this direction? Legally binding roadmaps are needed. Okay, we need to shift from voluntary actions to something which is specified, which is mentioned and which is targeted, more measurable. We need to go ahead with the reforms of international finance, as I discussed. Okay, we are targeting this much fund will be provided, but that fund is quite low. Okay, how could the vulnerable communities will survive with this fund? So there will be more gaps. So we need to go ahead with more reforms in international finance. Subnational governance. Okay, so there is a need to take like it's not about the nations only. It's about the subnational governance. Like the states and the cities, they also have to come ahead, start following certain policies in this direction. Nature-based solutions. I'll discuss about nature-based solutions also in today's class. So there is a need to have the nature-based solutions in city planning so that the heat waves and flooding issues can be combated. Universal insurance. So we need to expand climate risk insurance to protect smallholder farmers, coastal communities. Okay, because they are the one who are facing the the negative impacts of all these climate changes more. Okay, so we need to go ahead with the expanding of climate risk insurance to these communities, right? Now, another thing, so what's the conclusion that we can draw with this? So we need to go ahead with this collective efforts to deal with all the challenges that we are facing. Something needs strong foundations, something need to be driven. So all the parameters, all the challenges we had mentioned here, and what the initiatives we are taking the session, they need to be driven by the appropriate policies, then only the adequate results we can expect. As a 1.5 degrees Celsius goal slips further out of reach, so as this year we had expected, we had accepted it, like 2.8 degrees Celsius temperature we had reached in the last 10 year, and we had accepted it. So if we will keep on accepting all the shortcomings or all the negative results, we will not be able to change this. We need to move ahead. We need to come ahead with some solid policies to work in this direction. Okay, see, that's the reason when the companies and when there are certain individuals observed who are not doing their work on time and are playing with the fundamental rights of the other creatures, there are penalties. Okay, and there are some good punishments are given to them. So this is a way to make the people or to bring the people on track. So there's a need to have these things in the policies related to the global climate. Okay, chalo. Now, this is another important news article. So, in the last year only, we had completed our target of the formation of 10,000 FPOs, Farmers Producers Organization. Okay, so in the year 2020, we come ahead with the target that 10,000 new FPOs will be formed and promoted across the country, and they are basically to collectivize production, processing, and marketing for better incomes and market power. Like when a farmer is alone or individual farmers are not aware about the practices going on the market, and sometimes they are having a lot of questions or doubts in their mind, but they are no, where they are hesitant to ask all these doubts to the fellow farmers. So that's how these groups are formed. These farmers producers organizations are formed where the farmers can discuss their challenges, their issues with each other, and that's how they can solve their problems. And wherever they need the financial assistance, they're provided with the financial assistance as well. So these FPOs are like formed to help the farmers in production, processing, and marketing so that the incomes will be improved. Okay, so the major agencies which help in the formation of these FPOs are Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium, NABARD, National Cooperative Development Corporations, and National Agriculture Cooperative Marketing Federations of India. Okay, and we had achieved this target. And in this, if I talk about the total 10,000 FPOs, near about 21.96 lakh women farmers are there. So it shows that women empowerment is also there. Women farmers are also coming up. Okay, so that they can also help in improving the families in. Okay, and I already told you about it, like why there was a need arises to have this, so that the farmers will have all the good resources available to them. Okay, and all, like if I talk about like on which features it works upon, so it works upon cluster and commodity approach, right? So produce cluster based formations align with one district, one product. So farmers are coming together and they're working upon one district with products, and that's how these approaches are working upon. And for this, up to rupees 18 lakh per FPOs for 3 years for hand holding. Matching equity grants up to rupees 15 lakhs per FPOs, that is 2,000 rupees per farmer. Credit guarantee up to rupees 2 crore project loan per FPOs are provided. So this is how the financial supports are provided. And if I talk about the market linkages, so NAFED led forward linkages and value chain integrations are provided. If I talk about the capacity building, so structured trainings are provided via BIRD, which is in Lucknow, and LINAC, which is in Gurgaon. Okay, and it is observed that women participation has increased, like most of the women farmers come ahead with the challenges and they discussed and all the problems were resolved. So what's the significance of this? So when we come ahead with any such projects and when we appear to fulfill our projects with the target time that we had assigned to it, okay, so definitely it means that it's a need of the hour and we are able to achieve it. So what's the significance of these FPOs? So they are empowering small and marginal farmers around 86% through economies of scale. Okay, and with the help of these FPOs, higher incomes and lower cost has achieved. Evidences show 22% higher price realizations and 33% lower marketing cost via FPOs channels has reached. So this shows the significance, how significant these FPOs are. Okay, now, coming ahead with a very interesting news article, which was also mentioned in the COP30, that the article we discussed in the last 10 minutes now. So let's talk about these nature-based solutions. What are they? So nature-based solution, this is something very new and it is in news. So recently, Pre-Escapes 2026 Congress held in Delhi, okay, where agroforestry's role in climate resilience was highlighted, alongside the release of United Nations Environment Programme State of Finance for Nature 2026 report, which warned of a massive global investment gap, the one that we had already discussed in the last article. Okay? Like countries, the financial help they had promised to provide to the developing countries is quite low. How could the vulnerable communities can compensate all the losses they are facing because of the challenges we are throwing on them, because of the activities we are doing? Okay, so nature based solutions was a main topic that was discussed during this Tree Escape 2026 Congress. Okay, so what is it? The nature based solutions, they are defined by International Union for Climate Change as actions to protect, sustainably manage, and restore natural or modified ecosystems to address societal challenges like climate change, food security, and water security effectively and adaptively. Okay, so we are talking about the solutions that we can implement. So they will help in mitigating all the challenges that we are facing, whether they're related with the climate change, food security, and water safety, effectively and efficiently. Okay, and therefore the first time, this is for the first time we are talking about these kind of solutions. Okay, and the main thing that makes these solutions impactful, and that's how they are trending, that they will be beneficial for human population as well as for the biodiversity. Like they will support the ecology plus the human at the same time. So that's the advantage of these solutions. Now, what's the key data and the stats related to nature-based solutions? One is they are having the mitigation potential. So what these solutions can do, they can provide up to 37% of the cost-effective carbon dioxide mitigation needed by 2030. And that's how we'll be able to reduce the global temperature by 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, recently we had reached this value and we need to lower it down. So these solutions will help you to do, will help us in doing this. Economic value. Okay, here, if we go ahead with the developments of healthy mangroves globally, avert over rupees 57 billion in annual flooding damages, protecting also 18 million peoples will be protected. Financial gap. So the 2026 United Nations Environment Programme report revealed that for every $1 invested in protecting nature, $30s are spent on nature negative activities. Okay, so that means this is how the finance gap are. Like, see, you know that it's about the human beings also. I'm giving a very simple example here. So if from the today onwards you will start taking the healthy diets, you will start taking the good fruits and vegetables which are rich in vitamins and minerals. You don't need to spend in hospital. You don't need to spend in lakhs in hospitals. Okay, so if today you will spend some thousands in purchasing and having good food, you don't need to spend lakhs in hospital, and that's the same thing we need to follow for the nature. Okay, so if today we'll invest $1 in protecting nature, we don't need to spend $30 in protecting ourselves from the negative impact that we had caused on the nature. Investment need. Okay. So global nature-based solution investment must triple to 571 billion annually by 2030 to meet climate and land restoration. India's green cover. So India currently accounts ninth globally in forest area, which we had already covered in one of the sessions, with forest and tree cover accounting for approximately 27.16. So this is the total forest cover or the forest area that we are holding. Okay? And we need to increase it. And although from our last few years' effort, we had reached a good value, but we have to go ahead in this direction. Okay, and what's the need for? So when we observe that the solutions or the practices that we are performing from the last few years are not able to give us a good results, they are not beneficial for the human as well as ecology. So then the concept of nature-based solutions arises. Okay? So climate change mitigation, so they are the massive carbon sinks to absorb greenhouse gases. So when as like we are having the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign, but under this 262.4 crore saplings are planted. Okay, and that to enhance the national carbon sink. Okay, disaster risk mitigations. So the natural barriers like the mangroves, they need to have them. They need to develop because they are the major buffers against the extreme weather conditions. So if we'll not take care of our wetlands and mangroves, so definitely in the coming time we have to face a lot of negative impacts. Okay, the climate will take all the things back now if we'll not protect it, if we'll not take care of it. Okay, water security. We need to restore the watersheds and urban wetlands because if the wetlands will be good, if the watersheds will be restored, definitely the groundwater will be recharged, good aquifers will be there, water filtration will be easy, right? Sustainable livelihoods, we need to go ahead with the opportunities where sustainable livelihood opportunities are provided to all the living beings. Okay? And that's how ecotourism, sustainable forestry, and organic farming practices will be promoted. Food security. So when we go ahead with the practices that are good for the nature and good for the human beings also, so definitely soil health conditions will be improved because we are working ahead with the organic farming practices. So when the soil health situations will be improved, we will about to get the good production from there, and that's how positivity all around. है ना? चलो. This is all about it. So, but anything that we are coming ahead with as we are humans, we are having a default setting of moving out of the track. We are going in a specific direction, but definitely we'll take a left or right turn where it is not needed at all. Okay. So definitely there are some challenges also. And what are these challenges? Lack of standardized frameworks. We have this approach to go ahead with, but we are not having a standardized framework to follow. Okay. So without a common standard, greenwashing or poor project designs can occur. Okay, anyone can come ahead with any such object or any such project that will be greenwashed. You know about the concept of greenwashing? Okay, selling your red products with the name on the name or on the sake of that they are eco-friendly. Okay, so something like this will occur if we're not having the proper standards decided from the very beginning. Financing and budgetary constraints, although we are talking about these projects, but these projects need good money from the very beginning, and we are not having all the financial help. So these financial gaps can act as a back step. Okay. Another things. So if complex governance and land tenures. Okay, so something that we are planning, as we discussed in one article before, that needs a lot of time, lot of effort. Okay, and there are the chances that the jurisdictions between the forest, water, and urban developments it will overlap. Like recently, we had that Aravali Green Wall. Okay, like the Supreme Court initially, it said that all the hills that are below the height of 100 meter, they you can use them or you can like that can be for mining purposes that you can use this land for the mining purpose. Okay, so the people from the different parts of the countries they come ahead to restore the Aravali green wood, right? So that's how the actions are needed. Disconnect from urban planning. See, we talk about the solutions that we can take, but they are the solutions taken by a scientific group or by the people who are more nature oriented. Okay, so what we do, we disconnect ourselves from the urban planning. Urban planning is going on one direction. We need to focus. We need to consider them also at the same time. So these major nature-based solutions are often treated as add-ons rather than core components of city design. So they are something we have to take care of. They are not the primary component of the city design. Okay. So this is also a challenge. Knowledge and expertise gap. Okay, we are not having site-specific technical data that leads to project failures. If we are talking about something which is very general, but we are not talking about a specific location and the data is related to it. So they are also the reasons for the failures. So what are the different initiatives that we can take in this direction? So one is the nature-based solutions around the Green Wall project, digital camper reforms, and Enact initiatives. So these are some initiatives that can help us in moving ahead in the direction to deal with the challenges which are actually caused by us. And the nature is suffering because of our challenges, because of the problems that we are causing or creating ahead. Okay. So we need to mainstream. So it's a time has come. We need to consider it as a primary component of all the urban planning projects. Okay. We don't need to take it as a side project. Okay. We need to unlock the green finance. Okay, so there should be sovereign forest bonds and private carbon credit markets so that large scale restorations will be funded. Right? Community led governance is needed. Right? All the local gram sabhas and indigenous groups to lead nature based projects, nature based solution projects for better survival rates. Okay, because they are for the people. So the local people who are living in the close vicinity to the forest area, they should be concerned, they should be connected. Science-based monitoring is needed, right? Scaling agroforestry. So we need to transit from traditional agroforestry to agroforestry practices. Okay, if we keep on doing the agriculture practices on the areas long with the chemical fertilizers, okay, all the time, it will definitely cause negative impact on the nature for long. So we need to go ahead with some agroforestry, tree-based systems. So to future-proof rural economies, right? Otherwise, all things will fail. So nature-based solutions, it can represent a shift from fighting nature to partnering with it so that all the most pressing societal crises will be resolved. Okay. And all the financial gap will be bridged, and we need to focus upon the local communities because they know the challenges they are facing. And that's how the NABARD work. Okay, so when like you guys, why you guys are studying ARD related issues all the time? Why we are studying all these news articles? As when you will be selected as a NABARD Grade A officer, you need to work in the implementations of the policies which are around the agriculture and rural development. So if you are about clearly about like aware of the issues that the agriculture sector and other sectors are facing in the recent years, you will be able to come ahead with the good ideas. Okay, will become ahead with the good solutions of the problems the peoples are facing nowadays. So that's how the nature-based solutions are important, and they are work, right? So is it clear? The students who are in the class, please comment that the things are clear to you. Then we'll ahead with the next thing. Yeah, please let me know if the things are clear to you guys. Is it okay? Give me a thumbs up. I'm waiting for your responses, and I'll move ahead with the next news article. So we all are aware about the Project Tiger, which is a centrally sponsored scheme, and it was launched in the year 1907. And it's one of the world's earliest large-scale species conservation projects. Okay, so we'll talk about it now. But before going ahead, I want you guys to mention in the comment box that the things till this points are clear to you. Is everything okay? Chalo. So let's move ahead. So let's talk about the Project Tiger. So Union government has constituted four expert working groups to review and modernize 50 years of policy decision. And the Project Tiger as a program completes its golden jubilee. It has completed its 50 years, and that's how we are something some new changes or something new related to this. Okay, so it was for the first time, like it is one of the earliest. Okay, if I talk about at the world level, it's one of the earliest large scale species conservation program, and the ministries involved in it is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, which is a nodal ministry. National Tiger Conservation Authority, which is a statutory body which is overseeing like how the project is implemented. And what's the main aim of Project Tiger? So that long-term survival of viable tiger populations in natural habitats can ensure. And that will also help in conserving the biodiversity, ecological integrity while balancing people-oriented developments in buffers. Okay, and what's the key feature? So when in the year 1970 was launched, its main objective was conservation of the tiger populations and in their natural habitats. Okay, so its main one of the major objective is tiger reserves network. So it was expanded from 9 reserves. So at that time it was 9 reserves, only 9 tiger reserves. Now it has expanded to 51 tiger reserves. Now we are having 51 tiger reserves across 18 tiger range states, and that is covering approximately 2.23% of India's geographical area. So under this project, we had reached a very good numbers. Okay. And under this project, we follow the strategy of core buffer areas. So core areas, what's the core areas? Inviolate areas with legal status of national parks and sanctuaries. Buffer areas are multiple use landscapes promoting coexistence. So buffer areas where coexistence is provided. Coexistence is provided, and the people can also take out some resources from there to earn their livelihoods. If I talk about statutory backing, so National Tiger Conservation Authority, they functions under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. And how they receive the financial support? Okay, central assistance provided because it is a centrally sponsored project. Okay, and with the time we are having the all India tiger estimation using the different methods to know about the populations of the tiger. Is it growing? Is it declining? And what kind of specific measures we can adopt to stabilize the populations of the tiger? And what's the new expert groups will do? So recently it is decided to have 4 expert working groups. So what will they do? So they are formed in the 4 different directions of north, south, east, and west, and they will review the 28th National Tiger Conservation Authority policy decisions taken over 50 years. They will assess the tiger population trends. Is it going ahead or is it declining? What's the prey base? What's the regional pressures? They will identify the outdated practices if there is any. Okay. They will recommend future ready policies for the next 25 years, and they will strengthen the coordination between National Tiger Conservation Authorities and the National Scientific Institution so that all the possible solutions will be taken in this direction to deal with all these challenges. Okay. Now there is another important news article. So as a country, we are moving ahead in the direction of promoting organic products. Okay, organic agriculture practices and organic products consumption. Okay, so recently there is a specific event organized. Okay, right, and where India is designated as a country of year. So let's talk something good is in our hand now. So we are the country of the year at Biofach 2026. What is it? It's a world's leading trade fair for organic products. Like we are having the trade fairs now where different products are exhibited by the different organizations and they talk about the specialities their products are holding. So recently this particular event was held at Nuremberg, Germany, organized by Nuremberg Mesh GmbH. Okay. And our country, Biofish, that particular world's leading trade fair for organic food and agriculture, and we also were there with our products, and we are designated or recognized as a country of the year. Okay, so what's the main aim of this particular trade? Okay, that World Trade Fair. What's the main aim of this particular trade fair? It's to promote the certified organic products, is to facilitate B2B networking among producers, exporters, retailers, and policymakers. It's to encourage sustainable agriculture and environmentally responsible consumptions. It's to provide a platform for innovations in organic farming and processing. Okay, so these are the main aims of this particular project. Now, implications for India. So, what's the implications for India of this particular trade fair? Like, it will help in strengthening global organic leadership. So, if as we receive the title of country of the year, so it will act, we can use it like it will be represented as that our organic, we are going ahead in organic production. Okay, and having this, holding this position globally will shows that our products are gaining global recognitions. Okay, and it will also help, like our organic products are exhibited there, and they are received because of these products. We are receiving a very good title as the considered as a country of the year. So definitely, it will help in boosting our agriculture exports businesses. It will help in promotion of GI tagged heritage exports. It will help in empowerments of FPOs and regional producers, because when some people are coming ahead and they are exhibiting their products and the products are getting the global, the other one will also get encouraged and they will be motivated. They also wants to come ahead and show their products. So that's how the FPOs will be empowered and the regional producers will be empowered. Okay. And the soft power through culinary diplomacy. So live testings like organic biryani, heritage rice varieties, they will promote India's organic identity. So when we are representing local products at the global trade fairs and they are getting the recognition, so definitely it helps us in promoting and getting our products the global recognitions as a whole. Okay, and we will be having the good positions in the market, right? Now, the catch limits for fishing. So, this is also a news article, right? So, recently, ICAR, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, they has recommended this. There's a need to have a minimum legal size for the commercially important species. Okay, if that, but the species we are talking about, they had not reached that legal size, we will not catch them or will not sell them, and that is that particular recommendations is made under the Marine Fishing Regulations Act. And why there was a need arises, because recently the fishing practices has taken a very great hike. Okay, and it can lead to the exploitations if it will not come ahead with the good regulations on time. So that's why a need arises that we need to have a catch limits for fishing. Okay. So why? To ensure the sustainable and responsible fishing practices. And the states like Kerala and Maharashtra have notified like this is a minimum legal size for fishing, for specifically for the pomfret fish. So with this article, this very important news article also, you need to go through this article very clearly. And the data related to are published under this report of Marine Fish Stock Status Report 2022. As per this report, 91.1% of India's marine fish stocks are in a healthy condition. No, that is a very good thing. But if we'll not take any specific measure from now onwards, it can lead, it can go to the unhealthy side. Okay, so there's a need arises to have some measures, have some regulations so that it will not go to the unhealthy side. Okay. So under the Regulations Act of Coastal Areas, specific zones are reserved exclusively for traditional, non-mechanized and small-scale motorized boats. And these areas are known as the traditional zones. Okay. The large size mechanized vessels are not allowed there. Still, we are observing there is a decline in silver pomfret, which is Pampers argentus stocks. So that's how the government come ahead are now there's a need to have some limits for fishing, catch limits for fishing. Okay. So government of Maharashtra has declared the pomfrets as a state fish of Maharashtra, so that all the conservation related efforts will be focused on it. So here is a question for you guys. What's the state fish of Maharashtra? Okay, so recently it is recognized as a state feast of Maharashtra. So it's a question to be asked in exam, and that is pomfrets, Bombay pomfrets. Okay, and if I talk about the minimum legal size regulation, so that is 130 to 140 for silver pomfret. So this is also important. So that if anyone is going ahead to catch the juvenile fishes in breeding grounds, they will get the penalties and other things. Okay, it's to protect the silver pomfrets from extinctions. Further, the government has also prohibited, like in the traditional zones and in these areas, you cannot use the destructive fishing methods. Okay, like the bull trollings, pair trollings, and the use of LED lights for fishing in the exclusive. So, in the exclusive economic zone, you should not come ahead with this kind of practices. So, advisories are released, okay, and specific measures are decided. Otherwise, everyone should be ready to face the consequences. And apart from this, so there is a time period in a year when the major breeding season for the fishes occur. And during that time period of that is nearly a time period of 61 days. Okay, so during that time, annual fishing ban has been operation in both eastern coast and the western coast, and that is around May, April, May, June, July, depend upon the particular zone which we are talking about. Okay, and apart from this, financial assistance is also provided under Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana to socially, economically backward and active traditional fishing families under the annual fishing ban or lean period. So during that time, what will they do? Okay, so this time period of 2 months is very tough for the families who are completely or exclusively dependent upon the fishing practices. So for this time period of 2 months, financial assistance will be provided to these families. Okay, and that is of rupees 3,000 per beneficiary per year. Okay, and with a beneficiary contribution of rupees 1,500 and accumulated amount of rupees 4,500 is released during the 3 month ban period. Okay, and further, like it's for further to enhance availability of fishery resources in the coastal areas like traditional fishing zones, states are coming ahead with artificial reefs. Okay, because fishes also needs the home. No? So coral reefs are acting as the fish homes in the water body because they are so attractive, they are so colorful, which make it a very good place to survive the fishes in the water bodies, marine water bodies specifically. So government is coming ahead with the artificial roofs. So they will artificial reefs will be deployed in the water bodies. Okay. And this is about the last news article. Now we let's talk about the National Horticulture Mission. So this is not something new. This was launched in the year 2004-5. Okay, later on in the year 2014-15, it was restructured as subsumed under Mission for Integrated Developments of Horticulture. And now in the year 2025, we are also coming ahead with its restructuring. Like we are doing some changes in its structure. We are introducing something, we are taking out something. Okay. So what we are including under this National Horticulture Mission, we are revising the operational guidelines. Okay. And that is throughout the country. It's not for some specific states. It's throughout the country. We are incorporating high value exotic and medicinal crops and promoting latest and innovative technologies being used in horticulture sector. Okay, so medicinal crops, exotic medicinal crops are also included under this. Okay, and we are having this market intervention scheme that is provided for procurement of agriculture and horticulture commodities provide so that the farmers will get the good remunerative prices for the agriculture commodities, and now under this horticulture commodities are also included. Okay, which are because horticulture commodities are not covered under MSP, na, like they are perishable, they are not covered under MSP, so they will be covered under market intervention scheme. And what's the reason for covering them under this and why there's a need rises so that the farmers will feel protected. They will not go for the distress sale. Otherwise, the farmers feel like, nah, yeah, this is a time that rainfall has occurred and we are having the huge bulk of these commodities. What will we do? They simply go to the market and sell it, and they sell it as distress sale, getting the nominal prices. So they will not do this. So market intervention scheme is implemented for this, and this is also included under this. And then another and the new component, this is for the first time we're talking about this component. This is the price differential payment. Okay, so what is that price differential payment? With an option to make direct payment of the price difference between the market intervention prices and the selling price to farmers for the crops traded in the APMC market. So if the farmers are trading their commodities in the APMC markets, so whatever the price difference that will be there between the MIS and the selling price, that the price difference will be directly added to the accounts of the farmers to protect them. Additionally, reimbursement for transportation and storage cost of TOP crops specifically central nodal agencies and state designated agencies for storing and transporting. Okay, and whatever the prices will be provided to the farmers, they will be directly added to their account so that they will not fall in the trap of this. So that's all about all the important news articles from the last week. If you find this lecture important or useful, you need to comment box. And if you're having any query also, you can mention in the comment box and you guys can connect with that is Varshit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this is a complete course available, guys. If you want to do your preparations with us, be the part of this batch and start your preparation. Thank you so much. And yeah. Simranjeet, um, what should I suggest here? Uh, like I'm having this current affair classes for you guys. Okay, but for the major static portions, you have to be complete course. Although I'm providing you the MCQ sessions, this is on YouTube. Okay, be the part of all the classes. Okay, and start updating you with the things. If you are not able to do this, you can have the learn pack, okay, where you will be provided with the notes plus mock test. Okay, that's how you can do your preparations, because some efforts you have to do. Now, like I'm providing you good things here on YouTube. You cannot say that the YouTube materials that we are discussing are not good. They're also good and they're also important for the exam. But for the major static portion, because most of the students don't like to have the static portions here and they're not attending the classes on YouTube. You know that. Okay, so that's why we are having these classes in the batches for you. Okay, and still, if you want to do, you can be the part of the learn pack. Like you will get the notes, you can do the revision from there, and rest of the doubts you can ask to me in this particular Telegram channel. Discuss about it. Okay, we'll clear all your doubts and questions. Right. Thank you so much, and bye bye.